Welcome, family. Welcome. We are delighted to have you here today. Welcome to GatherVerse She Summit Fireside Chat, Her Place in STEM. My name is Devana May. I am an attorney, a brand strategist, and the creator of It Girl GPT. And today I am honored to share this space and this chat with Miss Cinnamon White, the CEO of Tech Now and the founder of We Tech. Cinnamon, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Devana. Thank you. I'm doing great. Excited
It's
to be here.
wonderful to have you here today. Thank you so much. So, I know from taking a look at your profile and getting more acquainted with the work that you do that you are passionate and that you are dedicated to making technology accessible for all, especially when it comes to closing the gap, the gender gap in STEM. So, if you would just take a few minutes to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in STEM.
Well, it's been some time, so let me think about that one. um, I am what everyone will call these days as an advocate for women in STEM, particularly Black women. I consider us not to just be consumers, but creators, innovators, and disruptors. Um, we're building a future, and AI understands our health needs to work with our apps, connect our communities, and overall close the gender gap in STEM fields, one code at a time, one startup at a time, one leadership role at a time. Um, we can't build this world without us. We are women. We from that perspective, I operate from, and it's been as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and before we actually jump into the formal questions, I do want to learn a little bit more about, you've been in this field for quite a while. You've dedicated your life and your professional endeavors to creating opportunities for Black women in STEM and using technology to tell us a little bit about some of the ways that your work has impacted your community and some of the ways that you feel that you've actually seen change happen within the field.
Well, that's probably my one of my favorite places to be is quote unquote in the field, working directly with our youth. They are what give me the air to breathe. You're the reason, all of you are the reason that I continue to keep pushing. Uh, I think it started back as far as a turnaround, back with Girls Who Code, and then with Black Girls Who Code. And we starting to work with them and our girls in our community all the way out in throughout the globe. So I would say that would be one of the biggest impacts that I aligned with in the beginning, and then it stemmed
Mhm.
um, beyond that as well,
And
locally.
that's an amazing organization, and I think we all should kind of be responsible for creating the spaces, creating the organizations, and bringing together the people who have the technical skills, the heart, the just the ability to, I always like to liken us. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to create impact and enrichment and opportunity for our people, for who are usually underserved communities, and we all have a job to do. And there should be so much pride in the diversity of the responsibilities that we share. And someone may simply be responsible for opening a door for someone else. Someone may be responsible for giving someone resources or network or whatever it is you can do. I'm just so grateful to have this space where we're gathering to collect our insights, and we're gathering our human connection and our human network, so we're able to continue the work that needs to be done to break barriers and create opportunities for us, especially in the spaces of STEM and STEAM.
You're absolutely.
Um, speaking of breaking barriers and speaking of challenges, tell me about some of the systemic changes that you believe are needed to create pathways for women to excel and to lead in the space of STEM.
Um, Good question. I would look at what you started off with as far as breaking barriers, and something I mentioned as far as one of the first organizations out there looking at directly of making effectual impact for women. And I mentioned Girls Who Code and Black Girls Code. So the early exposure would be a very key, necessary step. Directly dismantling the biases as far as our corporations, such as our FANG companies, Microsoft, Google, making not just lip service, but making direct action, direct initiatives in order to make a safe space, an inclusive space, an equitable space for women, especially Black women. Mentorship, definitely have to have it, have to see it to be it. We have to turn around and give back. We have to show them. We have to continue to pave the pathway. And oh, let's see. I'll stop at those three.
No, that's actually wonderful, and I love what you say about early exposure and representation and mentorship and giving people direct access to opportunities to interact with the field within the field. I remember, growing up in a community where there were no real examples of what success looked like outside of a small, very marginalized space. And when I got to college, my professor, she was a young Black woman. She had just graduated law. She had graduated law school. She was my English professor, and I was just in awe of not only the fact that she was a young Black beautiful woman, but that she was so educated, and that I had never seen anyone in that space, a Black attorney, a Black female attorney, just never saw it before. And then when she told me at the end of the semester that she saw it within me, that I could be an attorney as well, I literally took her word, and I based my entire educational trajectory on that. So it is so important to have representation and to have support systems and to have education. So speaking of education, tell me a little bit about what you think our organizations, our schools, even in the professional space, what can we do to better support women to achieve careers in STEM? What can we do to help them to get on that pathway?
Well, that's a big one, and we could literally repeat what we started with as far as the early exposure and the representation. I think we have a lot of organizations that are taking steps in that very direction, as far as getting the necessary education and skills out there to and focusing directly on our primarily underserved communities. You have let's see, Tech Equity Collective, Brilliant Black Minds. Um, oh, there's quite a few, and I'm missing them right now.
I'm
If you
taking
follow me,
notes as you're
if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll put a list up there. There's several organizations out there right now that are working directly with local to global, to make sure Tribaha. Um,
talking.
they could go on forever, but these organizations have been put in place, are receiving the funding to implement just what you were speaking of, as far as getting the education and the skill set, not just teaching them how to code, but
Mhm.
also taking them through the process of the hiring process, starting their career, what it is to interview, what exactly those
Mhm.
questions that are being asked from our FANG companies.
Mhm.
And I understand there's a coding test involved. So you can't just fluff your way through, and
Yeah.
you have to know what you're talking about, what you're doing. And it's such an exciting industry as far as I'm concerned, as technology, um, stemming from STEAM education, if you will.
Mhm.
It aligns perfectly with every industry. It takes that, it's sort of a that industry on steroids, if you will,
Mhm.
and it just really allows those throughout medicine and law to truly enhance what they already know, and to truly be able to share it um, with us, to create a better and build a better place to live in.
Yeah. And as we are winding down on time, I think the final question that I want to ask is, what impact do you want to make personally, as a visionary, as a contributor and a creator to the STEAM space? What is your ultimate idea of impact or improvement in that space? What is your personal goal for achievement?
I actually had to think about that just a few weeks ago as we start the vision board for 2025. But I think I'm maintaining my stance here. It has to be a radical change. It
Mhm.
can't be incremental. We
Mhm.
have to take the bull by the horns, if you will, and make a radical change as far as inclusion, commitment, investment. And I think we all know what they are. I think we've all created the wireframe along with the budget, along with the software development life cycle. And I think we
Mhm.
can all put it together and we do it. We have to do it.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because I feel that we do have the resources, we have the ability, we have the knowledge, the wisdom, and we have the allies to create any change that we want to see. And it's just a matter of doing it and doing it the right way, And then I think that we're always learning better, and there's always ways to improve and all of the things. But having these conversations and really knowing that you do have everything you need to start with and you can do a lot with what you have at your hands and what's in your heart and what's in your mind. I appreciate that. And I also love the let's just get radical, let's just get into it, let's just wield the hammer and make some impact. So
A little
Cinnamon,
bit
thank
of
you
trouble.
so much. Oh, thank you, Cinnamon, for joining us today. And as we close this session, I do again want to thank you, Cinnamon. I want to thank the audience for your valuable time and your attention. And I do hope we take this time to create new allyships, new partnerships, and collaborations in the direction of bringing more impact, diversity, inclusion to the to women in business. Thank you, GatherVerse, and our Gather was well. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.